Hi everybody, this is Mackenzie, and me and Yue, we looked at the assessment, the Peabody Developmental Motor Skills 2nd edition, and this PowerPoint presentation is just kind of going to give you a background of what the assessment is and important information that you need to know before administering it. So what the PDMS-2 is an assessment that measures interrelated motor abilities that develop early in life. There are 6 subtests: reflexes, stationary activities, locomotion, object manipulation, grasping, and visual motor integration. Something to keep in mind though is that the reflex subtest can only be given to children from birth to 11 months of age, and the object manipulation subtest can only be given to children older than 12 months. So when you administer this test, you will only be doing 5 of the subtests on a child because you're either doing reflexes or object manipulation. You cannot do both because of the child's age, and which one you do depends on the child's age. So this assessment can be administered over time to monitor how the child is developing these motor abilities and if they're developing them, so it can see how intervention is working, if intervention is working, or if there needs to be an intervention to help get these motor abilities to develop. Who does the PDMS-2 assess? Well, it's meant for the pediatric population, and it's specifically designed for children from birth to the age of 6. Some psychometrics of the PDMS-2. This assessment is consistently high across all 3 types of reliability, so content, sampling, and inner score differences. The coefficients strongly suggest that this assessment possesses little test error, and the PDMS-2 Examiner's Manual explains some research that has been found to show the validity in that it has been found that the PDMS-2 is a valid measure of motor abilities in children. If you want to know a little bit more about the psychometrics of this assessment, the Examiner's Manual has a lot of information, a lot of specific information on exactly the reliability and the validity and the research that they have done to determine these. Some training needed to administer the PDMS-2. So this assessment can be used by many different professionals, but supervised practice in administering and interpreting it is desired to have before you actually go out and do it on somebody in practice. Testers need to have an understanding of all aspects of the assessment, and there are a lot of aspects of it. So some training can be acquired through college courses and workshops, but you should have some type of training and you should understand this test as a whole in all its different parts before you go out and do it in practice or do it on somebody. Some considerations for administration. So the time required to administer the test is 45 to 60 minutes. The environment for testing, it can be a room, a hallway, an outdoor space, just an environment that is large enough to do the activities and is also free from distractions. For the gross motor testing, the child's going to be moving around a lot, so you want to have a mat, a cushion table, or a carpet space that's large enough for these activities. The examinee should have on shoes with non-slippery soles. You, as the examiner, need to have the materials prepared beforehand prior to testing the child, because some of the subtests require things such as distances measured, lines taped, or targets up. So you need to have that done beforehand so you're not doing it in wasting time during the assessment. You want to follow the exact procedures. So in the examiner record booklet, During the activity, it tells you what to do and what to say to the child, and you want to follow the exact procedures. So for example, one of the items is skipping. So it says to demonstrate skipping for 10 steps. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to say, skip like I did. So the booklet tells you what you need to do, so you need to follow them. Exactly, you need to follow these procedures. The instructions can be repeated up to 3 times because the child can do the activity up to 3 times. But again, you want to follow what the booklet is saying about it. There are some factors that can bias the results. And 2 sources of these could be the child itself and the situation that the child is in. So some examples of this are the child could be fatigued that day, their emotional state should be taken for account, their state of health, are they nervous about the test, what's their attitude towards the test, kind of what their attention level is that day or in general, because those can all bias results, as well as the situation or the environment. So if the child's in a noisy room, or if there's no rest breaks, or the lighting's poor, the furniture could be uncomfortable. Those different factors will affect the results for the assessment. So if we get into scoring, to begin the assessment, what is really important to know is the child's age and month, because that is where you're going to start your activities. So this is a page from the examiner's booklet. And to begin your assessment, you're going to look at the item number, and these little blue boxes are throughout. So this specific assessment, this subtest, is going to be fine motor. So you find the fine motor section in the booklet, and then you look at the item numbers, and there's blue boxes spread out occasionally, and they tell you what age that you need that can start at this area. So this says start if the child is 13 to 20 months. Well, in our assessment, me and Yue's child, our example, was a child that is 42 months. So we had to find the box where 42 months fit, which was item number 21, because this is 35 to 71 months. This is our entry point for where we're going to start the assessment. Now, each assessment can be scored from a range of 0 to 2. So 0 is the child cannot or will not attempt the item. 1 is their performance shows a resemblance that they kind of know what it is or know how to do it or can do it, but it doesn't fully meet the criteria. And a 2 is that they perform the item according to the criteria that is specific for that mastery. Testing of each activity should be done until a score of 2 is reached, or if the child has done the activity 3 times. So if we started at 21, which is where we started because of the age, you can administer the test up to 3 times, but as soon as the child gets a 2, you can move on to the next item. However, it's noted on some activities that even if a score of 2 is achieved on the first try, there needs to be between 2 and 3 trials. Now, that is not for grasping or visual motor integration, but that should be noted that some of the subtests, they do say that even though they got a 2 on the first try, you need to move on and do at least 2 or 3 trials. So these are some important terms that have to do with recording how to score and just recording the assessment in general. So we have our entry point, which is going to be the item number that you start with based on age. Now this entry point is marked on each subtest in this booklet, the examiner record booklet, and we start here because it was determined that 75% of children in the normative sample at that age were able to pass that. So 75% of children were able from ages 35 to 71 months were able to pass item number 21. And that is why we start here. The next important kind of definition or aspect you need to know is the basal level. So the basal level is established when the child receives a score of 2 on 3 items in a row. So we start at item 21. If the child receives a 2, we move on to item number 22. If the child receives a 2 here, we move on to item number 23. If the child receives a 2 here, this is going to be our basal level. This is the base. Because they have 2 in a row. They have 3 scores of 2 in a row. However, you begin testing with the entry point item. So we began at the entry point item of 21. If they do not score a 2 on each of the first 3 items administered, the examiner needs to test backwards until the child scores 2 on 3 items in a row. So kind of to look at this on this paper. So if we start on 21 and she gets a 2, and we move on to 22 and the child only gets a 1, then we have to test backwards. So then we go from our entry point, which was a 2, and we need to go backwards to the previous test, which was item number 20. If the child gets a 2 here, then we have to move back at least 1 more to item 19. And if the child gets a 2 here, that means they have 3 2s in a row. So on 19, 20, and 21 item, they have 3 2s in a row. So that's our basal score. So you test backwards if the first 3 are not 2s. Now let's say we start at our entry point, 21, and we get a 2. We move on to 22, and we get a 2. But we go to the next item, and she only gets a 1. We still have to test backwards because she didn't get 3 2s in a row. So then we would go back to 20. And if she got a 2 here, then she would have 3 2s in a row, and we could move on testing forward and stop testing backwards. And that is going to be the basal level of the child. The next level is the ceiling level. So you look at the ceiling level once the basal level has been obtained. The ceiling level you measure by going forward. So for the ceiling level, the examiner does activities that are progressively more difficult. So item 22 is more difficult than item 21. And 23 is more difficult than 22. So the child progressively goes through the activities until they get 3 0s in a row, and that would be the ceiling. So testing is finished as soon as the child gets 3 0s in a row on 3 activities. And it doesn't matter where they're at in the subtest, that is when they finish, because it is shown that they will not be able to move on to the rest of the activities if they score 3 0s in a row. So this was a little bit of a background of how to administer, a little background of the test, and then how to administer it, and important things you need to know in order to administer it. So the next part is going to be the video of us administering the grasping and visual motor integration subtests. And then we're going to take the numbers that we recorded, the scores that we recorded from administering, and we're going to make another video where we're going to show how we scored and where our child falls on the normative data.
This video is a demonstration of how to administer Peabody assessment. And we're doing two subtests for this video. The first one is the grasping assessment, and for this one I'm going to be the OT and Mackenzie is going to be the client. And later we're going to do the visual motor integration subtest. So we're going to start from item 21 because our client is 42-month-old, and we're going to start the test. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Make a mark. Good job. And make another mark. Alright, for this one, I'm going to have you unbutton these as fast as you can after I hit the timer. Alright, are you ready? Alright, go ahead and start. Alright, good job. And then I'm going to have you button and unbutton as fast as you can. Alright, ready? Go ahead. Alright, good job. For this one, I'm going to have you make a mark. And then for our last activity, watch me do this. And touch like I did as fast as you can. Oh. Alright, you ready? Okay, go ahead. Alright, they're good. Thank you. Okay.
Hi everybody, this is going to be the assessment, the Peabody Developmental Motor Scales subtest visual motor integration, and I'm going to be administering the test and you is going to be the client. We are going to start at item number 55 because our client is 42 months. Draw a circle. Build a wall like mine. Cut the paper like I did. Watch me lace. You do it like I did.
Gonna do this one again. Watch me lace. You do it like I did. We're gonna do it one more time. Watch me lace. You do it like I did. Draw lines just like these that cross in the middle. Cut on the line. Draw lines just like these that cross in the middle. Put the food in the bottle as fast as you can. Put only one in at a time. Ready? Go. And stop. Okay, we're gonna do it one more time. Place the bottle in. Put the food in the bottle as fast as you can. Put only one in at a time. Ready? Go.
And stop. Put the food in the bottle as fast as you can. Put only one in at a time. Ready? Go. And stop. Draw on this line. Try to stay right on this line. Draw on this line. Try to stay right on this line. Going to go one more time. Draw on this line. Try to stay right on this line. Draw a square. Draw a square. Okay. One time. Draw a square. And that is going to be the end of the visual motor integration because she just scored 3 zeros in a row. Stay tuned for the next video where we teach you about scoring for the Peabody.
This video will be showing you how to score a Peabody assessment. So we did grasping subtest and visual motor integration subtest. To get a raw score, we're gonna add all the items up together. We started from item 21. This is for grasping subtest. So item 21 was our entry point. The client received 3 2s in a row, which means this is their basal level all the items before this, we assume the client was able to get a score of 2. So we're just gonna add all the scores up, including everything before the basal level and everything after that until we reach the ceiling. So in this case, the client get all 2s. For all the items, we're just gonna do 26 times 2. Here, we get our raw score, 52. And then we're gonna do the visual motor integration, same thing. Look for the entry point. We started from 55. We get 3 2s in a row. Everything before that is a 2. So we add all the scores up. 2 times 57, and then 1 1 1 1 until we reach the ceiling. That is our raw score for this subtest, and we have 121. Now we're gonna use this raw score to find age equivalent, percentile, and standard score. So to find age equivalent, we're gonna use our table C in the manual. Alright, so that is this right here. So we have a raw score of grasping at 52. We find our 52 right here, and then age equivalent in month will be 71 right here. And then same thing for visual motor integration. We have 121 for raw score, and here we have 41 in age equivalent. Alright, and then we're gonna move on to percentile and standard score. We're gonna use table A for both of these. So here's table A. Look for the age. Our client is at 42-month-old. We find the grasping. We have a raw score of 52, so right here. And then the standard score will be there for 15, and then 95 is our percentile rank. Alright. And then for the same thing, visual motor integration, we're gonna look for the raw score 121 here, and then standard score 9, percentile rank at 37. Alright, so we have all these numbers up right there. To get a sum of standard score, adding up 15 and 9, we get 24. Now to get the quotient and percentile, we're going to use table B. Alright, this is table B, and then we have our sum of standard scores equals 24. We're going to look for fine motor 24, and then quotient is 112, percentile rank at 79. So 112, 79. And there you go.